Yeah, those are stock, European stock doves, and I haven't sold any yet. I don't know that
They kind of look like a wood pigeon, don't they?
they do. Well, they look like a domestic pigeon, except that they don't have the bars.
No, do they cross with the rock doves? And
No, not in nature. They don't.
they cross with the wood pigeons?
Nope, not at all. Well, at least if they have, it hasn't resulted in anything.
They have a.
They are cavity nesters, unlike the rock dove and the wood pigeon, which are tree nesters or ledge nesters. These guys actually go into wooden holes in trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And they have them over in England?
Oh yeah, apparently so.
Holes in trees.
In fact, it's one of the few, like, you can hunt wood pigeons year-round in England. There's no season for them because they're considered a big pest. Why didn't they bring that over instead of the starling? And this one is protected in the UK. So it's one of the few doves, just like other, I guess, like European turtle doves, that is afforded protection. See, that bird's courting right there. I need to, yeah.
So that pecking is just a courtship behavior?
Yeah,
too?
that male, I should separate those two because, see, he's going to follow her. He wants to follow her everywhere. And if I put him in a separate cage, in 2 weeks they'd be on eggs, just that quick.
Really?
Yep.
But did they...
In fact, let's walk back this way. I had 2 females in this cage, and I noticed a male in my holding cages, so I pulled him out, I pulled one of the females out, I put the pair together, and 2 weeks later they were on fertile eggs, and they fledged a baby in no time flat.
So can you pretty much, because you've been doing this for so long, tell which ones males or females are? Or
Well,
you just watch their behavior?
I watch the behavior. That's what it is. And I rarely have birds DNA sexed because I'm just patient about letting them grow up, and by the time they grow up, I know if it's male or female, and I do it that way. Even with my bleeding heart doves, a lot of breeders now they want to know immediately, so they'll pull feathers and send that off so they know it's a female. But I'm never in a hurry to sell these things, if I sell them at all, and I just wait patiently for them to show signs of what they are. And bleeding hearts, within 6 to 8 months, you're going to know. I mean, the males are strutting already and revealing what they are, and the females are not. So, and I could show you. Let's look at this pair of bleeding heart doves right here, because I always like to use that like this pair as an example. Let's wait till they can turn around. The lighting's not very good, but by looking at these 2 birds, especially when they face you head on, even someone who's never seen bleeding hearts.
The dimorphism.
Oh yeah, male one. Yeah. In fact, the male just flew up, the female's still down.
You see the big red spot.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of being patient, letting them fully color up.
So like these stock pigeons and stuff, do you look at their nares? Or?
Well, actually, for them, it's impossible because they are absolutely identical. I watch the behavior. And the male, it's such a, what's the right word? It has such a high reproductive rate. I mean, their sex drive is tremendous, so they can't hold it back. Males are going to show their
females around.
Right, they're going to be more assertive, more aggressive, and females are not. So just watching their stance of how they hold themselves and how they react to a bird that approaches them tells you right away whether it's male or female.
So, what is the genus of these?
These are same as our domestic pigeon, Columba. Only the domestic pigeon is Columba livia. This is Columba oneus.
Okay, so how many of the Columba genus do you have?
Oh, I only have this species and domestic pigeons in Columba.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. I previously had European wood pigeons, which is another Columba, and I had ashy-headed wood pigeons, which is another Columba. So, and I had triangular spotted pigeons, which is another Columba. So there are a lot of Columbas available out there.
Is the behaviors of all the Columbas pretty much like use an example of like a mallard type duck?
Right.
Whether it's a Philippine duck or Chinese spot bill.
Right. The behavior is so similar that all you have to do is watch them.
So once you know one species, you know the other.
Absolutely.
Same thing with the husbandry. It's all pretty much the same.
Well,
or is there like niche differentiation, like if you...
That's it. They're such a diverse group in terms of where they come from and what they nest in, that is key to knowing how to reproduce them. This particular bird is not going to nest in an open nest at all, whereas a regular common pigeon will.
So that's one of the attributes is that character displacement or niche differentiation.
You need to have some knowledge of what they like in the wild. And when I first got these birds, even from Panola turned them loose in this giant aviary. So I don't know that they knew where they were nesting, but before they knew it, they had stock doves all over the place. And my friends in Europe, who were conscientious dove breeders, said if you give them a closed box with just a round opening, that's what they want, because they nest in trees in our backyard, and that's the kind of nest they're looking for.
So what I found with some of this stuff is like, you know, back when they were starting to bring like white-headed ducks white-headed ducks into America or European collections, the mindset was, okay, we need to, they tend to nest in coots nests, so we need to have like coots nests available. But then after a couple of generations, through selective breeding or whatever, it changes. So that maybe you start off, you need to have that's a nest box, but then you migrate to a basket or something.
Well, I don't doubt that might happen, and I don't doubt that if you fostered eggs of stock doves with a different kind of columba, it might adopt their nesting pattern.
Right.
And that's entirely
nature versus nurture type of thing. Yeah.
So, but at this point,
that's actually pretty interesting because I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Is those little subtle behaviors that we take for granted in some species, we can actually change them by using a surrogate mother.
Right, exactly. There's no question. Well, but at this point, I like the idea of their type of nest. It actually affords them a lot of privacy, so that they're not just easily disturbed by anybody. And
that's one of the nest boxes here.
Well,
used for that, or is that?
I'm going to show you a nest box. No perch on the front at all.
Just an open box, huh?
Open box.
There's a box. There's an egg right in there.
There's already an egg in there. So, they just fly directly into that cavity like there's no tomorrow. There we go. In fact, I've learned from other birds, sometimes you don't want to perch in the box. And I visited a commercial budgie breeder decades ago, and his aviaries were lined with budgie boxes. Wasn't a single perch in any box. And his comment was, you don't want another bird sitting on that perch looking in that box and disturbing the one that's nesting. And so in the nature you wouldn't really see that. They would just dive into the cavity, sort of like wood ducks and stuff. They just go right in. So yes.
They nest in something like this too.
Actually, when I had ashy wood pigeons, this is the nest I used for them. Totally different. But then they were tree nesters,
Nesting like crotches of trees or something like that.
Build something on a flat branch or something like that, or a V-shaped section. But of course, interesting, these birds would never consider that as a nest.
They want it all closed in.
All closed in. Now, my European wood pigeons, when I had them, they would nest in baskets and places like that readily, And oddly enough, horribly wild birds, European wood pigeons, that when I imported them from England in like '91, got like a dozen birds through USDA, horrifically expensive, but there were none in the US. And I had them in large aviaries outdoors, 20 feet long, and that just kept them totally nuts, beating me, flying here and there.
Smaller cages?
Yeah, I moved them into these cages, they nested immediately.
That's always, it seems like the
exact
if you have
opposite.
Crazy birds, you put them in smaller cages.
They settle down right away. young man is the best worker I've had in decades.
Do we have any more pigeons out here?
Let's go see if there's anything left. Taylor.
I like these.